In World War II, over 11 million Americans served in the United States Army. It was a massive machine, and the only way to make it work was a strict hierarchy. But if you look closely at the archival footage, it can get confusing. You see stripes, rockers, diamonds, and sometimes a mysterious letter T. Who gave the orders? Who was just a specialist, and who held the ultimate power? Today, we are decoding the entire command structure of the US Army in World War II, rank by rank. From the fresh recruit all the way to the 5-star generals. Let's get into it. The Enlisted Corps. This group was divided into 7 pay grades, and this is where you'll find the bulk of the fighting force. This is the private, the standard entry-level soldier. No insignia, no stripes, just the man and his rifle. For the millions of draftees entering the service, this is where life began. A private was the lowest rung on the ladder. His primary duty was to learn, to follow orders instantly, and to master the basics of soldiering. He earned $50 a month, and his life consisted of drills, inspections, and the endless waiting that characterizes military life. He had no authority of anyone, not even himself in many ways. He was the raw material of the army. Next one is Grade 6, the Private First Class. This rank was awarded for efficiency, discipline, or simply time in service. They wore a single chevron, point up, on their sleeve. It might seem like a small detail, but earning that first stripe was a massive moment for a young soldier. It meant you were no longer a raw recruit. You knew the ropes. You were a soldier. While a PFC still had no real command authority, he was expected to set an example for the privates. He was often the one tasked with the slightly more complex jobs or trusted with the Browning automatic rifle in an infantry squad. It was a step up, acknowledging that you were reliable. Now, let's move on to Grade 5, and this is where the World War II structure gets unique and, frankly, a little complicated. The Army faced a problem. Modern war required highly skilled specialists, radiomen, mechanics, medics, armorers who needed higher pay to retain their skills, but who weren't necessarily trained to lead men in combat. So, in 1942, the Army introduced the technician system. This created a parallel track in the enlisted ranks. On the command side of Grade 5, you have the corporal. 2 chevrons. The corporal is the lowest-ranking non-commissioned officer, or NCO. Do not let the low rank fool you. The corporal was a leader. He was often a brave assistant squad leader, ready to take over if the sergeant went down. He had the authority to give orders and the responsibility to enforce discipline. But right next to him, sharing the same pay grade, is the technician 5th grade. He wears 2 chevrons, just like the corporal, but with a distinct capital T insignia centered under the stripes. This man was a specialist. He might be the company clerk, a jeep driver, a cook, or a radio operator. He was paid the same as a corporal because his job required technical skill, but he had no command authority. He could not order a private to do push-ups. This distinction caused a lot of friction. Combat troops often called the technicians techs, or joked about their soft jobs, while the technicians prided themselves on the specialized skills that kept the army moving. Moving up to Grade 4, we have the sergeant, 3 chevrons. This is your classic squad leader, the backbone of the infantry squad. The sergeant was the father figure, the disciplinarian, and the tactical leader for 12 men. In the chaos of combat, the squad leader's voice was the one soldiers listened for. He carried the Thompson submachine gun or the M1 carbine, and he was responsible for the lives of his men. If a squad succeeded, it was because of the sergeant. If they failed, it was on him. Matching his pay is the technician 4th grade. Again, 3 chevrons with a T. This was a highly skilled specialist. A T4 might be a tank driver, a senior mechanic, or a specialized radio operator at the battalion level. He was critical to the war effort, maintaining the complex machinery of modern warfare. But again, he was not a commander. He did not lead patrols. Next one is Grade 3, the staff sergeant. You identify him by 3 chevrons and 1 rocker. That's the rounded arc at the bottom of the patch. The staff sergeant was typically a platoon sergeant or a section leader in a weapons platoon. He was the assistant to the platoon leader, usually a lieutenant. If the lieutenant was green or inexperienced, the staff sergeant was the one actually running the show, guiding the officer and keeping the men alive. He was a seasoned veteran, often with years of service even before the war started. His counterpart in the technician ranks was the technician 3rd grade. 3 chevrons, 1 rocker, and the T. These were your high-level specialists, often working at division headquarters or in highly technical fields like cryptography or heavy equipment repair. They were experts in their trade, paid well for their knowledge, but removed from the chain of command. Let's climb higher to grade 2. The technical sergeant. 3 chevrons and 2 rockers. This was a senior NCO rank, often serving as the platoon sergeant in an infantry rifle platoon. In the absence of an officer, the technical sergeant took command. He was a tactical expert, coordinating the movement of multiple squads, managing ammunition supplies, and serving as the tactical bridge between the officers and the enlisted men. And finally, we reached the top of the enlisted ladder, grade 1. The highest enlisted ranks. These men were the gods of the enlisted world. First, the first sergeant. Look for 3 chevrons, 3 rockers, and a distinctive diamond in the center. He is the top kick, the senior NCO of the entire company. The first sergeant was the administrator and the disciplinarian. He ran the company. He handled the morning reports, the duty rosters, the supplies, and the discipline. All enlisted men feared the first sergeant. He was the old man of the company, the keeper of tradition, and the one who ensured the captain's orders were actually carried out. You did not cross the first sergeant. And alongside him, sharing the rank of grade 1, is the master sergeant. 3 chevrons and 3 rockers, but no diamond. While the first sergeant ran the company, the master sergeant was the technical master. These men were battalion or regimental level experts in logistics, maintenance, or operations. They were the most experienced soldiers in the army, often with 15 or 20 years of service. They didn't deal with the day-to-day discipline of the privates. They dealt with the massive logistical hurdles of moving an army. Before we get to the officers, we have a special, often misunderstood category. Let's move on to the warrant officers. These men ranked above all enlisted personnel, even the master sergeant, but below the commissioned officers. They inhabited a world between the two. They were the ultimate technical experts, designated to jobs that required improved authority but not general command. First is the warrant officer junior grade, identified by a gold bar with 2 brown enamel brakes. You would find them piloting gliders, managing large motor pools, or serving as band leaders. Above him is the chief warrant officer, a gold bar with just 1 brown enamel brake. These were long-serving experts, deeply respected for their specific knowledge. They were saluted by enlisted men, but they did not typically command combat units. They were the fixers. Now, let's look at the men who held a commission from the president, the decision-makers, the officer corps. This group is divided into 3 tiers: company grade, field grade, and general officers. Starting with the company grade officers, these are the junior officers, the ones leading men directly in the field. The entry level is the second lieutenant, platoon leader. His insignia is a single gold bar. In the slang of the time, they were called butter bars or 90-day wonders because of the accelerated officer candidate schools. The second lieutenant had the most dangerous job in the army. He was expected to lead a platoon of 30 to 40 men into combat, often with less practical experience than his staff sergeant. The learning curve was steep and the casualty rate was incredibly high. Next one is the first lieutenant, a senior platoon leader or the company executive officer, the XO. He trades the gold for a single silver bar. By the time a man reached first lieutenant, he was a survivor. He knew the realities of the front line. As an XO, he was second in command of the company, managing the rear echelon and ready to take command if the captain fell. Then, the captain, the company commander. He wears 2 silver bars connected. These men were responsible for leading up to 200 soldiers. The captain was the father figure of the company. He knew his men's names. He wrote the letters home to the families of the fallen. He was the tactical pivot point of the battle, making life or death decisions under direct fire. Let's move on to the field-grade officers. These men operated at the battalion and regimental level. This is where the scope of command widens. First is the major, a battalion executive officer or the S3 operations officer. His insignia is a gold oak leaf. The major was the staff coordinator. He took the commander's plan and turned it into reality, coordinating artillery support, logistics, and movement. It was a high-pressure role that required immense organizational skill. Above him is the lieutenant colonel, the battalion commander. He wears a silver oak leaf. Remember the old army rules, silver outranks gold? The lieutenant colonel commanded a battalion of roughly 800 to 900 men. He controlled heavy weapons companies, rifle companies, and a headquarters staff. He was not usually in the front foxhole. He was at the command post, directing the battle by radio and runner. Next is the colonel, the full bird, regimental commander, identified by the silver eagle. The colonel commanded a regiment of over 3,000 men. He was a senior leader, often a career soldier who had served since World War I. He was responsible for the strategic success of a major combat unit, coordinating infantry, artillery, and armor assets. Finally, we reach the stratosphere of the army. The general officers, the strategists who move divisions and armies across the map. Brigadier general, brigade commander, or assistant division commander. 1 star, he was the deputy to the division commander, often tasked with leading a specific task force or overseeing the front-line operations of the division. Major general, division commander. 2 stars, this was a massive command. A major general controlled 15,000 men, including infantry regiments, artillery battalions, engineer battalions, and support units. He was like the CEO of a small city that was constantly on the move and constantly fighting. Lieutenant general, corps commander. 3 stars. A corps consisted of 2 or more divisions. The lieutenant general was an operational artist, coordinating the movements of tens of thousands of soldiers and massive amounts of supplies. General, army commander. 4 stars. Men like Patton and Bradley held this rank. They commanded entire field armies, hundreds of thousands of soldiers. They dealt with grand strategy, politics, and the massive industrial effort of the war. But as the war grew, 4 stars weren't enough. The scale of World War II was unlike anything in history. In December 1944, a new rank was created specifically for the Supreme Commanders, to put them on equal footing with the British Field Marshals. General of the Army. The 5-star general. The insignia was 5 stars arranged in a circle. Only a handful of men ever held this rank. George Marshall, Douglas MacArthur, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and Henry Hap Arnold. These men answered only to the president. They did not just command armies, they commanded entire theaters of war. They decided the fate of nations, from the private with no stripe cleaning his rifle in the mud, to the 5-star general in a conference room deciding the date of D-Day. This was the structure that won the war. It was a chain of command built on discipline, tradition, and necessity. Every link in that chain, from the technician fixing the radio to the colonel ordering the charge, played a vital role in the ultimate victory. Which of these ranks do you find most interesting? Is it the forgotten technician, the overburdened second lieutenant, or the powerful first sergeant? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the structure of the US Army, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We have many more breakdowns of military history, weapons, and vehicles coming your way. Thanks for watching.